Okay, welcome to our safe place to share our stories. I am hoping my co-host join me, but if they don't, that's okay. I guess it won't be a conversation. Well, I guess it will be a conversation. Me with you, not me with my co-hosts. So I just started a new course today. Actually on the weekend we did Corolla and we did a course on EDMR last week, and then we did a course on polyvagal theory that we just finished yesterday. But today I just started a course on trauma of racism, and it's interesting because we all have things in our lives that, especially if they happen when we were a child, limit our self-perception, make us think that we are less than or that we are not enough in some regard. So if we believe that and we address that, then we can kind of move to a better, a new, better version of ourselves that we've resolved. Hey, this wasn't true. Like this is what I thought when I was a 5-year-old, that I was not worthy or there was something wrong with me. I was broken, those kind of things. That's what you might think. But if you think about it and go back and review it, you'll find there was nothing wrong with you. You're totally fine. You're great. So that's great news. So now, but for people who have actually had trauma, which many people have had trauma, then that's a more in-depth type thing. So everybody has had, challenges in their life, small T trauma. And for the people who've had the big T trauma, it's certainly important that they go back and resolve that, like that they have to deal with that, because that trauma will keep them, in my understanding, the trauma will keep them trapped in a place of belief when they are less than. There's something that's not right with them, that they are not a full and complete human being. So that kind of a thing. So the trauma is dealing with the trauma, is my understanding, is a really important aspect of moving forward to a life free of the substance abuse, whatever that is: alcohol, drugs, salty snacks, sugary things, sex, gambling, whatever it is that the person with a substance abuse disorder needs in order to get them from this current state. Then that's basically what I think it's rooted all, it seems to me, in the belief that they have about themselves because of what happened to them. So people hold all this trauma and all this shame and all this blame. None of it belongs to them. It's all the person, the caregiver who had the problem, the older adult, or the older person in the family, cousin, nephew, whichever, that kind of a thing. Hey, TJ.
Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late.
No worries. I was just kind of giving a little recap on some of the training I've been doing recently, but glad you're
Uh-oh.
here. Yeah.
I missed it. You'll have to tell me.
Well, briefly, last week we took a course on EMDR,
Oh, yeah.
eye movement desensitization reprogramming,
Right.
and then just finished a course on polyvagal theory with Stephen Porges. And I'm a big fan of what his work, because his is so much about, you want to change your state, you do something different with your body right now, that changes your state, right? That changes the flow of, from toxic to toxin within your body, from cortisol to endorphins, right? Just like this is what you do, right? So anyways, I thought it was very interesting course. So yeah. And then just today I started a course, took the first module of it, called trauma from racism, which is very interesting. I thought, like, in terms of you don't perceive it that way, but it makes sense that it's still basically a judgment. The person who is being, the racism is being used against, is being judged unfairly. And the person who is using the racism is like also suffering because they are making an assumption that the other person is somehow,
Less
not
than.
less than in some regard, right? And so that's got to be hard for that person too, right? I think racism is hard on both people, harder on the people experiencing racism, of course, but I got to believe it's kind of a fear-driven move for the person using racism as well. is kind of what the way I would see it. Make sense? Or maybe not. Maybe it's all power driven, and maybe I'm missing it. What's your thoughts, TJ? And good to see your smiling face, by the way. How nice.
Well, I don't have the research reference to be able to back this, but
Yes.
I would say in my lived experience and in what I have studied and what I have learned, I would say that we are not born racists.
No.
So racism is taught. So I struggle a little bit with the idea that it's hard on the racist, because if they're taught that and that's how they are choosing to show up in the world, yeah.
Valid point. Yeah, valid point. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess I'm sort of relating it to violence. And I believe that people who use violence, it's also like it causes them pain and suffering as well as the pain and suffering they're causing to the person who is experiencing the violence, right? So I think they kind of work the same. But yeah, I see your point. Maybe I'm looking at it from a privileged, no fear kind of perspective, right? Which, I realize that that is a lot of the women in my life have a lot of fear that I would never ever think of, right? Just, walking in a parking lot, or, being at this time of night, or being in this part of town, it would never ever occur to me that that's a concern. But for a lot of the women that I know, then when I'm chatting with them, they're saying, I feel fearful in this situation. Well, that's obviously a real challenge to navigate the world if you're always or if you're often in a fearful state. That's that doesn't make for a good community. It doesn't make for good health individually as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. So anyways, I'm trying to align the two, but maybe there is no alignment. I just see it as being a violence in terms of, if you look at violence in the broadest concept, anything that would devalue or take away a person's voice or choice is a form of violence. So is racism violence? Yeah, hell yeah, of course it is, right? So,
absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, racism also lends itself, but is not parallel to like lateral violence.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Cool. And our friend, have we had an update at all? Have you heard from Annette and her journey? No. Okay. Good. By the way, I did extend an invitation to Trina and Amanda again. They're two the Blackfoot women that we know that are on the Truth and Reconciliation, but they didn't join. But maybe one time they'll be comfortable enough. You know what I think I need to do? I think they'd be more comfortable if I said, here's the questions, or what questions do you want me to ask you, right? That they kind of control it, right? Maybe it feels too scary when there's no script, right? That I'm just make that we are just kind of free flowing as we go here. Some people don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, some people like a little bit of notice in terms of, advanced topic, and what parameters sometimes help to invite folks in.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe that's the way we should approach it. Do you have any other people that you want to have as guests here too, by the way? Annette is a gem. Yeah. Well, then we should think about that too, because Diane is kind of every couple of weeks. And then, sometimes Annette does her grandma job, and her grandma job is priority to this show, which I understand. Totally fine. Mm-hmm. So, it might be good if we had some others, and if we end up with there's 4 one night, that's totally fine, right? Right. So yeah. Cool. So okay. So are you taking on the task of who we're going to ask questions and what we're going to ask them?
Ooh.
Should we have set questions for people that we want to come on?
What's that?
Should we have set questions? Like, should we have kind of a something, a big dream type question? as an Indigenous person, what do you see as how we can kind of resolve and move forward and thrive together? I don't know, something like that, and just kind of have a grand type of a scope to it.
Yeah, I think that it's more along the lines of um, building bridges, strengthening relationships. Um, and that's how we could ask the question, right? So how do we build the bridge and strengthen relationships between our Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities?
Yes, that is a really good way of framing it. Matter of fact, I think I told you about that allyship little course that I took or
Yeah.
whatever, and that's what we're talking about. That friendship is the start to allyship, right? That
Mhm.
has to happen. So how do we get those friendships occurring? How do we have those interactions where we can kind of be comfortable together at an event, an activity, whatever, right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
TJ leading round dances every Friday afternoon.
No,
No, no, not gonna happen. All right.
no, no. Uh, Probably not my place to lead them at in any way, shape, or form. Let's just make that really clear.
Well, and that kind of seemed to suggest that round dances were more an inclusive, anybody join kind of thing. But then I guess there's still some got to be the right person to
There's
lead
still
the round.
protocol for sure. Like
Yeah.
there's still protocol in organizing a round dance and, having your, typically a round dance starts with ceremony, right? So,
Right.
there's still protocol involved. You still have a MC who oversees the drummers. There's
Yes.
usually, a handful of drummers that are invited. Then there's a handful of open spots for other drummers to come.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yes, like I said, in its current form is very social, but
Right.
there's still lots and lots of protocol around hosting an event like that.
Right. No, that makes sense. I understand that. I
Mhm.
guess I'm just thinking of it that might be something that would be an activity that would draw people in, right? That
Mhm.
would make a fun event to kind of get us together kind of a thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that it, they are fun,
Yes.
and they do
Yes.
bring people together to, that's where our elders love to come and sit and visit, and that's, one of the times that they may see each other, so.
Yeah.
And
Um,
especially
y-
during COVID, like we've done, there's been so much isolation,
yes.
during these last 2 years that um, I think there's a real hunger for wanting to re-engage and be unmasked and be at social events and pick up where we left off. And um,
Yes.
I'm not sure is that we're there yet.
No. Hey, are you using a laptop, TJ?
I'm on a desktop.
Oh, okay. Okay. Jesse was just asking if you could bring your camera angle down just a little, but probably not then, eh?
I can try.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, well, that sounds. I think there's an opportunity there for something that we could kind of get together there. But that might be a great way to approach things. As an Indigenous person, what do you see as a way to create connection or reconnection? But more so, it's connection, I guess. Right? We've been
And
disconnected. How do we connect? Right? So
right, and then asking the question, where are the bridges that need to be built? You
yes, yeah,
and what might that look like?
yes, yeah.
So, that's one of the things. Lewis Cardinal. I don't know if you know Lewis Cardinal.
I
If you
do
get a
not.
chance, you can Google him. He's done a lot of work with the city of Edmonton up here, and he's been really instrumental in creating like the Edmonton Accord, um, and some lots of really good work up in this area. But Lewis would tell you that exactly that you know you we have to be really, really careful when we say that the Indigenous people have been consulted,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
So there's a difference between being consulted and actually being engaged with.
Right.
And so um, I'm cognizant and just being mindful of even just my years of experience and learning and watching, what on paper is written as consulting, not always would have been, in my mind, actually an engagement process.
Mm-hmm.
Having an Indigenous person, attend a 3-hour meeting, in my mind, is not consulting.
Right.
That's not engaging, right?
Yeah.
But just to say that they were there and present and heard the pitch or whatever. So,
well, I know that I have been consulted with as well, in a way that it was clearly just a way to tick off the box that we did this, right? My voice meant nothing in that environment. It was to say, yeah, we hit all the pot. We had the conversation, blah, blah, blah. People registered their concerns, done, tick the box off. So,
yeah. And I think that's a real piece that is still happening, on whatever level, whether it's, public, private, non-for-profit, whatever sector. I think it's happening, corporate, whatever level, right?
Yes.
So I think people really need to understand, what does actually relationship building look like? And whether you're corporate or non-for-profit or public or whatever your sector might be, have you learned some fundamentals, right? Have you learned how to offer protocol? Have you learned, that our meetings actually start with smudge so that we can all be grounded and have a shared intent of what the meeting is going to be about?
Mm-hmm.
Some pieces like that I think are really critical. And they also create a sense of, a sense of understanding and a sense of safety by our Indigenous, community, to say, okay, well, at least this is a starting point.
Yes. Yeah.
At least the whole meeting is not, at least there is a portion of it where an Indigenous way of being is actually being acknowledged and followed.
Well, it's beautiful as well, and that sets the intention, as you said, right? So the blessing for the event, the blessing for the conversations, the guidance, to make good decisions, kind of a thing, or at least the ones that I've been in, those are the kind of ask from a Blackfoot blessing perspective. Beautiful, right? Gee, we're asking on the Creator to guide us so that we make good decisions that are beneficial for all. Hallelujah! Right? How can you go wrong with that as a starting place, right? So,
yeah, for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
Cool. Oh, excuse me. Tomorrow, you might be interested to know, Diane has arranged for a one of the, what are they called again? The community
connector.
Yes, she's going to be on the show tomorrow night.
Who is that?
Hang on one second. What is her name again? Oh,
She's going to be on tomorrow, or she's going to be on with us next Monday?
Oh, there's going to be next. Yeah. So there's, okay, we got, let's see here. No, this isn't it. Oh, dang it. There was 2 different guests she had. One is her sister. What's her sister's name again?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's, here it is. Debbie Weideman is who's tomorrow night. And then the following Tuesday is her sister, who does those care blanket thingies and that. Yeah. So that should be fun. My computer has decided.
You do this every night?
What's that?
Do you do this every night, Alan?
No, not. Well, I sing every night, but I do these shows Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yes.
Yeah, for someone who hasn't heard you sing, I might have to tune in to hear one night.
You know what, TJ? I can assure you, I have many, many viewers. Most are 3-second viewers. So you can certainly invest the 3 seconds and see if it's worthwhile showing up after that. Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
I didn't actually look at the stats or anything. And then like 2 months ago, I had this thing came up and it had stats on it. And it had this huge, like amazing number of viewers. I thought, what the? And then, 3-second viewers. Oh, all right. Okay. This makes sense now.
Oh, that's cute. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Yes. So that's who's on tomorrow, and then the following week for on dial in kind of a thing. And then for next week though, if we could find, I would still love it if we could get Trina. Why do I always forget her name? Trina and I was going to say Angela, not Angela.
Amanda.
Amanda. How is that so complicated? Amanda and Trina, I still want them to come on because as like vice chairs of the whole or I think Trina's the vice chair, but Amanda's on it as well. The Truth and Reconciliation locally. I did go through. Did you I'm sure you've done this. Like I went through all of the recommendations. There's like a thing that walked through and then showed how many of them are completed and how many of them are in progress and how many haven't started. I thought that was an interesting type journey. So, and we've been doing it here for a long time already. I didn't know like that we were doing it, but
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen that update. So that would be an interesting update for me to see.
Yeah. There's what, 90, is it 98? I think it's 98.
94 calls to action.
94 calls to action, yeah. And of those, I believe 13 are completed. But it was like, proclaim this law, that kind of a thing, right?
Right.
So relatively easy ones that kind of a thing. And then there's about like 25 that they're in progress, and then the remaining, none of them started even, right? So there's a schwack of it. So, and I watched a lot of that Murray Sinclair. Oh my goodness, he was a quite, very eloquent speaker, very, just expressed it so well. I mean, yeah, I thought he did an excellent job. So, yeah.
Yeah. He's well spoken for sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
Cool. So,
well, maybe we're a short-lived one tonight. I know we still have a few minutes left, but you know what? I would love you to put out that question to your viewers. Just around, put out the broad question and see if there are folks who would be interested in coming to have conversation with us.
You just asked it, TJ, to our viewers. If you are interested in having a conversation with us, you don't have to be Blackfoot, but we would that'd be good. That's the voices we're trying to elevate. That's the voices we want to hear more of. So
well, I think the community voice coming together, sharing space, having meaningful conversation is a great way for us to hold space, for us to model this idea that we're better together, and that we through meaningful conversation, that those little aha moments that we all have that might trigger what we might do tomorrow or what we might do differently another day.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's really critical, and I think sometimes our community don't always see themselves as value add. And so this is my invitation to you to say, community, you are value add. And it's when we continue to expand these conversations, with that in mind, that, that's where the change starts, right? Change starts grassroots. It doesn't stop. It doesn't start at the top.
Yeah, exactly. You're entirely right. Nobody can just pass a law and all of a sudden racism just disappears and we all get together and it smiles and sunshine. We have to actually meet each other, talk, help each other, make things happen that way, right? That's the reality of it. And collectively, can we have a way better life than we've been experiencing? Can we have a way, reduce the opioid dependencies? Yeah, we could, right? If we had other, more human support and more humans kind of a thing, that would be, then we could make a difference there for sure too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Sister TJ, thank you.
I appreciate you holding space for us tonight, Alan.
All right. Next week.
You bet. Take care.
Okay, see ya.